with the introduction of the new M1 Pro and M1 Max devices and rumors surrounding a new MacBook Air that's coming out with the M2 chip. Is the M1 device still a buy coming into 2022? Now, to answer this question, there are often three components of a laptop that the developers and also ourselves balance to determine whether the device serves our needs. These are power, portability, and battery life. For example, if a device has great battery life, it often means that it's probably a thicker device because the batteries are a lot thicker, and it may have greater processing power. However, it'll sacrifice portability just due to the size and weight. In contrast, nowadays, if the device is smaller, what we're generally sacrificing is processing power, because what a lot of portable users tend to value is the battery life. So in exchange for a device that doesn't sap as much power, we get greater battery life and a smaller size device that we can port around. Now, in nearly all of these cases, it's a juggling process, with 2 out of the 3 processes taking priority, with the third one taking a fat L. So let's take a look at exactly how the MacBook Air stacks up when we're considering these 3 components of a laptop. Now, there's obviously a clear advantage in having a device this small and slim, especially coming in at just over 1 kilo. The edges of the MacBook Air are nicely rounded, and because of its weight distribution, you're able to lift the lid with one hand. For those of us who are on the move with heavier items within our bags, maybe you've got some textbooks, maybe you've got a camera with a thick lens that you've got to carry with you, the MacBook Air provides us with a smaller device that we can carry as we transition to and from our workstations. The MacBook Air is clearly the lightest and most portable device, and on par in comparison to even devices like the XPS, the Dell XPS 13-inch. It's quite comparable in size, but I would argue, along with many others, that the unibody design is so much nicer than Dell's XPS 13. Of course, this is subjective, so anybody with the XPS out there, don't kill me. And personally, I actually do like the rose gold design. There's not many devices with the rose gold color to it, and in this unibody tapered design, it just fits so well and is low-key fire. So in terms of portability, Apple definitely hit the hammer on the head right here. Thumbs up from me. Such a sleek design, beautiful and so portable as well. Definitely lives up to its name, being the MacBook Air, because it's as light as... Now, for the MacBook Air, it's currently rated at up to 18 hours of video playback. Now, as we all know, these figures aren't really real. They're subjected to very specific conditions that are set out by the manufacturers. And so just for reference, in terms of my experience and my use, I get about 8 to 10 hours of battery life use when I'm using it for Word documents, going through PDF, some YouTube in the background, and also maybe just some web browsing when I'm doing a bit of research. But regardless, this is obviously going to change and be very specific to your needs. You might be watching YouTube throughout your whole work day or your whole study session. So it's obviously going to consume a bit more battery. If you do a lot less and you're just there checking emails and doing administrative stuff because you can't have earphones on during work, then obviously you'll have more battery life left over. But regardless of the work situation, unless you need like a power hungry device, it's going to be very impressive, the battery life you get out of this device on one charge. Now, just for comparison's sake, within the Apple range, there's only 2 other devices that beats this device in terms of battery life, and that's the MacBook Pro 13 and MacBook Pro 16, which we all know is a rather chunky boy. And they both come in at 20 and 21 hours of video playback respectively. Now again, they're a lot thicker, they don't have that tapered design, but of course could be relevant to you if you again are power hungry and need that extra processing power. Speaking of power, of course, let's get to the... Now, in making this statement, I don't think I'm going to be the only person that believes this to be the fact, but I would say the creation of the M1 chip within the last decade has been one of the biggest, if not the biggest, computing developments. Not only has the M1 chip provided users with a smooth, efficient experience in the MacBook Air, but it's also managed heat so well that the MacBook Air doesn't even rely on fans to cool it down. And for me personally, it's been very rare to get the device really hot and running to the point where it's uncomfortable to actually just type on. And it's able to manage all this heat whilst also being 6 times faster in terms of GPU processing and 15 times faster in terms of learning capabilities in comparison to the former Intel chips that were in the MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros. And for many, including myself, this really negates the need for a dedicated graphics card, especially if you're editing videos or if you're playing some games like League of Legends, which I've made a video on. And another benefit of the M1 chip is because it's being developed in-house, there's a lot of cost saving that's being passed on to the users. Yes, of course, the prices of the device are going to increase still over time. That's because it's being more efficient. There's a lot more R&D involved. But if you think about it, had they stayed with the Intel chips, there would be so many more costs outside of just development and the creations of those Intel chips to be shipped to Apple and then to be processed and put together. Also, we'd probably still be using AMD graphics cards to do very basic things that the MacBook Air can currently do just on the M1 chip by itself. Now that's all to say that the M1 chip is going to be more than enough for the average user out there, and even people who are just starting YouTube. I just happen to use the MacBook Pro 16-inch because I wanted a larger screen and I actually don't mind the bulk. So given really the MacBook Air has gotten a tick on all 3 aspects, the last question is there still a good price to value ratio on the device? And number 2, should you be waiting for the M2 MacBook Air that's coming out? Now, if we're looking at the price to value, which means how much you're paying for how much you're actually getting, I would say the MacBook Air in the current laptop computing market is miles ahead of any other device within its price range, especially if you get it on sale and you use certain discounts and gift cards and whatnot. On sale in the US, I've seen it at just under $800, and in Australia, I've seen it at around $1,200. At that price, really, you can't beat it. You really can't beat it at that price, the design that you're getting, and not to even, I totally forgot about this, also the resale value of the device. You're going to get so much of your money back when you go to sell this in a couple years, 5 years time, whatever the case may be. Now, in regards to whether you should wait for the M2 device, I mean, really, this is a power of performance and efficiency, right? And I think at some point there are diminishing returns to what you can get as technology only marginally gets better time over time. I mean, how much quicker, how much more battery life are you going to get out of the M2 device that's not already being fulfilled in the M1 chip? And to be honest with you, I'm kind of stuck in between. I'm not a big tech YouTuber, obviously, look at me, just a casual person. I'm kind of stuck in between, do I sell this and get the new MacBook Air for review, or do I hold on to it? Personally, I still really do enjoy the design, but my actual use of it has been really small given I just use the MacBook Pro, which is right in front of me right now. Anyways, I've ranted on long enough. Is the device great for 2022? Absolutely it is. And if you can get it on sale, just absolutely snap it up, use it. And when the MacBook Air M2 does come out, at that point you can just sell the device, or if you don't think that it's worth it, then you can still keep the MacBook Air that you've just bought to use. Anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it's been helpful, if not at least entertaining. Let me know in the comments, let me know in the comments below your thoughts around the MacBook Air. I'll catch you guys later. Cheers. Like the video.